Hi, good morning. Long time no see, I know. I'm sorry about that, but I've been, it's hit me about my mum really badly. It's okay. It's okay. It's part and parcel of grieving, so it's okay. Anyway, today I've got a story. It was something that I was thinking about yesterday and thinking how blessed I'd been in my life. Had problems, we'd had ups and downs, and but when I was a teenager and about 15, all my friends had horses. Everybody. I used to go and ride at my neighbour's farm and ride with their horse, and I used to ride at my best mate's house with her horses. And anybody that had horses, I was there. Um, And I learnt to ride. I did learn to ride. I learnt to ride the hard way. I fell down I don't know how many times off the horses, damaged my back, went down a massive hill because we lived in Cornwall, so I went down a massive hill like this and just literally fell off the horse. It wasn't my horse. More things I was concerned about was damaging the horse. Anyway, so as you know, I lived on a farm. It was a big farm, lots of acres. I can't remember how many now. And I kept pestering my dad for a horse, and my dad could not afford it. It was impossible. He was putting into the house. He was putting into lots of things going on, making a living. Had cows that we could milk from, so there was a lot of money going into the farm. And so my dad sort of, my dad is, invite lots of people around. He had a position. I can remember us being on TV. I think it was down Southwest Western program in Cornwall, and I can remember the farm being featured. The farm was a alcoholic, drug addict, down and out rehabilitation centre. So I grew up with a lot of men. If you can hear the noise, it's my cats, so just ignore them. And the thing was that these people used to come and go like crazy. So we had some students. I can't remember where they're from. I don't know if they were university students or college students. I remember they were from an art school, and I think it was near Dartmouth. I just can't remember. And these guys came along and they helped my mum and dad. They came I think it was every Tuesday or something that they came, and they dug the ground. They did gardening. They did, you name it, they did it. If they had to feed the animals, they'd feed the animals. If they had to build something, they'd build something. And we got used to them being around. My sister was a bit of a townie, so I don't think she mixed so much, but I mixed with everybody. So I mixed with these ladies because it was nice to have ladies at the farm rather than loads and loads of men. And at the time we had around about 10 men in the house from all ages, from around about 17 up to 80 odd. And they were great. Don't get me wrong, they were great. And that's another story. So I will tell you that story one day. Anyway, so these guys kept coming around, and then there was two guys. Some of them were Christians, some of them weren't. And I remember these two lovely people, a lovely man and a lovely lassie. I think she was called Janet. I can't remember. And the lad was called Oliver. And he kept coming, seeing Daddy, and I don't know if Daddy was his spiritual father. I don't really know. Anyway, so Dad invited them to come and stay and help Mum with the cooking. Jane, brilliant at cooking. Help Mum with the cooking, help Mum around the house, and Oliver to work with Dad and work around the farm and work different things. And they came to stay. What they did was Jane brought her, I think it was a red setter, and Oliver brought his horse. And he was called Kid. Well, he was a beautiful horse. He was an Exmoor pony. I call him a horse, but he was a pony. But he was lovely. He had character. He was super. Used to volunteer to help clean him out and wash him and lots and lots of things for him because I absolutely love this horse. He had a wicked temper sometimes. I just love this horse. And Oliver, he also had a wagon. They called it a jig, and so he used to take us out on the jig. I think Sharon went out once with us on this jig. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then I was at school one day, and when I came back, Dad said Oliver's leaving. And I went, oh, Jane had left because she'd found something else further afield. I think it was around London somewhere. That's where she come from. And she was lovely, and we really missed her very much. But she was great. She was great with the kids. She was great with my brother. My brother at the time was a very poorly young little boy. She was great with us all. And then Oliver went, and I was like, what? Why are you leaving? And he said, I decided I wanted to buy a trawler or a fishing boat. And my dad had actually helped him buy it, I think. And he said that I have to leave the horse. I have to leave Kid. And he said, would you like Kid? And I was like, oh my God. I was absolutely over the moon. I just could not believe I got a horse. I got this pony or whatever it was. To me, it was a horse. To me, it was my heart's desire. So at first, our relationship was a little bit not so good because he knew Oliver and he used to get on with Oliver and he knew him and he was great. But I had to learn to ride all over again. So I used to bareback him, up the fields and used to ride him. I used to think he was a circus horse sometimes. We used to go out sort of late at night and just check out for any animals that have been attacked by foxes or anything like that. We used to have, my friend used to come over and my neighbour used to lend her a horse. So we used to go out sort of when it was really bad and the weather was bad, like we have sometimes, but we used to have it horrendous then, when it was really snowing, and the sheep were, lambing. We used to go out at around about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning on the horses, and it was so beautiful just to see the moon in the sky and it shining on the snow. And we used to go all around the field. We used to go all around the hedges to make sure that there was nobody. If the snowdrifts built up on the hedges, then there was no sheep in those hedges, because that's where sheep go. When it snows, when it's really bad, they tend to go to the edge of the hedges. And sometimes they have their babies and then they're covered in snow. So we used to go out there, and sometimes we used to have to bring them back as well. And feed them and bring them into the stables. And it was such a lovely life. I loved it. I was an outdoor girl. My sister was an indoor lady, but I was an outdoor girl and I just loved it. And I loved Kid. Loved him. I loved cleaning him, brushing him. And what it taught me was discipline. I know I had discipline with my parents, but discipline for me was going to school, before going to school, making sure Kid was fed, was watered. If it was a lovely day, putting Kid out on the pasture, cleaning the barn, and coming back from school, and making sure he had water, taking him out, getting him ready to go for a ride. Amongst all my homework, I did do homework. I did. It was just phenomenal. It was just a lovely, lovely life. And I only had one horse, and he was my best friend. He was my best friend. And he taught me discipline, because Oliver had his own way of riding his horse. I had to teach Kid how I rode this horse. It was character building with both of us. Eventually he calmed down. I mean, if we took him out on the road, he would rear up. In other words, he'd go like that and rear up. So he had to learn how to go on the roads. But he was lovely. I loved him. Absolutely loved him. And the men in the farm also, they cared for him. They wouldn't ride him. I don't think any of them would ride him. But they would care for him. They'd like brushing him, and it would calm him down. They would clean him out, clean the barn out for me, and things if I wasn't too well. So we all worked together, amongst milking the cows, feeding the chickens, collecting collecting eggs, making sure the ducks were in, making sure the chickens were in because of the foxes. So it was wonderful. So anyway, I just like to say that God is good. I think I've gone over my time, I'm sorry, but God is good because he knows your heart's desire. I wasn't a Christian then, but I used to pray. I used to pray for a horse. I know it sounds silly, but as a child, I used to pray for a horse. And I know that in there, God did that for me. But it taught me discipline. It taught me to be on a routine with the animal. It taught me to look after him, care for him, have him shod. It taught me so many things. I'm grateful to God for that. So I will say bye for now. I hope this has come over all right. It was just a thought. And just have a great day. Be safe. And just enjoy the day, although it's a bit cloudy here, but it might not be in your country. It might be wonderfully sunny or rainy. It doesn't matter, because this is the day that the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice in it. Take care. Bye.